Okay. This one you are going to want to watch all the way through because I give the best tips and tricks on how to remove yourself from consumerism. Trust me when I say that we are all a victim to buying things that we don't actually need. And some of us may be in more debt than others, but a lot of it just ends up in our closets, in our garbages. There is just so much marketing out there, and we, of course, are falling victim to it every single day. So the first thing to mention is, how do we become aware of consumerism? And of course, this is like the biggest question in the book. The easiest and most obvious answer would be to look at your bank statements. Look on your credit card statements or your debit cards, whatever you're using to purchase these things, your PayPal account. Look at that and it will tell you your spending habits. It'll walk you through what your eating habits are, what your shopping habits are, what your travel habits are, what your subscription habits are. And these things, they add up. In my household, we have a subscription to Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, Netflix, normal cable, Crave. We're probably spending like $70 a month on these TV subscription companies. It's tough because it's like, I want to watch Euphoria or I want to watch Game of Thrones, and those are on one service, but then like the Kardashians and all the Disney stuff is on Disney Plus, and then you also have Netflix, which comes out with Netflix Originals, which is only available on Netflix. So you have to have all of these subscriptions in order to like keep up with the Joneses and entertain yourself with the latest pop culture. So once you've narrowed down what you're spending your money on, the next question to ask yourself is, when are you spending? And something good to kind of point out or to reflect on is it for events? Is it when you're bored or you're intoxicated? Or is it a seasonal spending habit? And what I mean by that is, sometimes in the summer, I feel like we're like, let's get new bathing suits, let's get new crop tops, let's get new skirts, let's get new shorts. What's wrong with the stuff that you already have? Unless you've grown out of it physically, I think then you can potentially, obviously, get new stuff. But if it's just like last season and your jean shorts look like the new jean shorts that are in season, but you want it from Aritzia rather than the Gap, really? You're falling a victim to consumerism. That's what they want you to do. So this is a problem that we're trying to solve here, is what do your spending habits give you? And most of the time, it's instant gratification. It is so easy to just click buy and have something delivered either next day or shortly after, and to have that physical product in your hand. Like Amazon is so easy to just have next day delivery. It just blows my mind how anything I want on that app will come next day or 2 days after. And it's just like, where does this come from? Where is this magical warehouse where it's like a vending machine? I just want that item and it is provided to me at the earliest convenience possible. We're not talking about Amazon's business model here. We are talking about how to remove yourself from consumerism. In that instance, we are going to remove ourselves. We are going to create a budget. We're going to put on that budget non-negotiables as well as your essentials. So essentials would be like food, your rent or your mortgage. It would also cover your utilities because obviously you need heat and electricity and power. Like you need all of these things. Your non-negotiables would probably be like, how are you getting to work? Unless you work from home. But would it be like transit passes or gas money? And then also maybe your investments or helping a family member, like whatever it is, those are your non-negotiables, but it is not your typical spending habits. The next thing that we are going to do is declutter our lifestyle. And this is where it starts to kind of go into that pattern of, when are you spending? So for instance, I like to declutter my life typically at the start of every season because I'm bringing out new clothes from a bin and I'm putting those in my closet and taking the last seasons out, putting them in the bin and sending it to our downstairs closet. Where I live, we have 4 seasons, and obviously I cannot be wearing shorts in the winter because I would freeze my little buns off. This is where I go through my clothes, I go through my makeup, my hair products, creams, perfumes, and I get rid of anything that is expired or really, really old, has tears in it, stains, anything like that. I just get rid of it. Once I go through all of the old clothes, old makeup, stuff like that, I provide myself with a no buy list. And a no buy list is essentially like things that you no longer need or are no longer essential to your lifestyle. So if I go through all of my winter stuff and I see that I have a long winter coat, I don't need to buy another long winter coat. That would be considered on my no buy list because I don't need two. Let's say if my shower routine consisted of me shampooing with a clarifying shampoo and then shampooing with a purple shampoo because I had bleach blonde hair. Throughout the seasons, I change my hair super, super dark. That purple shampoo will no longer apply to me. Therefore, it will be on my no buy list because it's not essential and I don't need that anymore. So this no buy list creates the awareness that I'm only allowed to purchase items once I run out or if I truly, truly need them. This allows you to create new habits, which again goes into what I just talked about with the no buy list. So once you're allowed to purchase items when you run out, this is a habit that you are creating because you're not buying 4 blushes, 4 mascaras. You're only buying one at a time, which then will last you a certain duration until you need to buy the next one. So you're essentially like saving that money during that time. The next thing, these money goals will help you develop an emergency fund. So every paycheck, every time you receive money, put a portion of that into a savings account for a rainy day if you end up losing your job or your dishwasher suddenly breaks. Then at least you have that emergency fund to put towards those items or lifestyle that you need to maintain in order to survive. The next money goal is something that I would suggest is to pay off debt. And obviously, like everyone, most people have debt. And so when, again, you're getting paid or receiving a paycheck, take a portion of that and put it towards paying off your debt, because when you're debt-free or with limited debt, it definitely relieves some pressure and some negativity from your life that you always have this burden on your shoulders that you have to pay. But once you start to get into a habit of paying off this debt, you definitely become more relieved and then can live your life more sustainable. Another thing that I would suggest, and not everyone does this, this is only my personal opinion, is to invest some of your money again. So from that paycheck, put an allocation towards relieving some of your debt, towards investments, towards a saving account where you can just readily access that cash if you need it in an emergency. And that way you cover all of your bases. And then sometimes I'd say like put another section for just like playing money. If you want to buy yourself something nice, don't feel guilty about it because that's just extra cash that you've worked hard for and you can use that as a reward for the job that you've done. Another thing that maybe it doesn't pertain to you, so this is like an optional category that I would allocate some funds into, is saving up for life events. So anything from getting a new car, buying a house, a wedding, children, any of these big life events, I would put money towards that just so that, again, like it can start to accumulate and then you have that money saved up so that when you need it for putting a down payment on a house, you know that those funds are going towards that financial goal. Something that I've heard, I don't know where I heard this, but it always comes back to me when I'm thinking of buying something that is a little expensive. If you can't buy it twice, you shouldn't be buying it at all. And this is like materialistic items. This is not like a house. Because we don't want to put ourselves into debt over materialistic items. I'm going to say it again. If you can't buy it twice, you can't buy it. But if you truly, truly want it, you can put it on a wish list. Create this wish list with a money limit and a time limit. This reduces consumption because it limits it, but also it limits impulsiveness as well. So when you look at your wish list and you're going, okay, I really want this jacket, and if it's below $150, I'll buy it because you think that that is a reasonable price for a jacket from this brand or something like that, and it's within your means. So that way you can monitor that spending. And then also too, if you're like, okay, well, I'm going to buy it within the next 3 weeks. Then that 3 weeks comes and you're like, okay, I still need this jacket. I'm going to buy it. Go ahead. But within this 3 weeks, you can also Google it and do your research to then understand if there's any deals or discounts, or maybe one store has it for cheaper than another. That way you can save money and make sure that you're getting the right value for this item. Another thing too is to invest in good quality items instead of having multiples of one. If you have a really nice pair of jeans that fit you so well, I would suggest just wearing those, or at least having like maybe one in a blue denim color and then another in like a black. That way you have variety, but you don't need all of these black jeans or all of these like blue denim jeans when they all either look the same. But if you have one pair that is actually like really good quality, fits you amazing, then stick with that and save yourself some coin. Something that I've actually started to think about lately, and I've heard this on other investors' YouTube accounts, is thinking about the reality of how much money it takes you to buy something compared to the amount of hours that it took you to work for that money. So let me try to bring this into perspective. So say you're making $15 an hour and you want to buy a purse that is $150. That's going to take you 10 hours to basically accumulate for that purse. At the end of the day, think about it. Are these 10 hours that I've worked equivalent to this $150 purse? If yes, go ahead, buy it. But once you've worked those 10 hours, is that purse really worth it? One of the biggest tips that I think I've received from how to remove yourself from consumerism is point blank unsubscribing or deleting apps on your phone where you can just instantly, with a touch of a button, buy items. Removing yourself from email marketing is really smart because we constantly get bombarded with deals and discounts and stuff. And that's great if you're looking for a certain item, but to have these all the time, especially around Black Friday or Cyber Monday, Boxing Day, there's just so many sales. And I feel like a lot of these companies are just throwing these products down our throats. It's a great time to shop and do your Christmas shopping, but it's also like, it's a lot. It's a lot, especially with all these advent calendars as well. And I was getting overwhelmed. I'm sure a bunch of other people were too. And there was some content creators who were out there and were just like, hey, like, you spend your money how you want. I'm promoting this brand because I use it, I believe in it, and that's fine. But when they're constantly promoting like all the brands from A to Z, it's just like, okay, what do you actually like? What are you actually promoting that will benefit me, instead of just like doing it for affiliate marketing or ad revenue for themselves, which I mean, like, for sure, I know it's their full-time job, so I understand it. And I really appreciate when the creators are saying, I'm just throwing this out there. Here's my discount code. Buy if you please and within your means. And I appreciate that 100%. And I think they all should be doing that, because it's one thing to constantly push sale, sale, sale. But when they're being transparent and they're being honest to the consumer, I think that that speaks volumes. And myself as a consumer, I appreciate that so much. And I also like seeing that, because then it's like they're taking into consideration their audience and what their audience chooses to spend their money on. A tip that I remember my dad doing is, and this was like obviously a different time when $100 would get you a lot farther than where it does today. But essentially, he would take out a certain amount of cash per week and he would use that to spend it however he wanted. But it was interesting because he physically had the cash in his hands so you could see the physical amount of how much you're spending instead of kind of just mindfully spending because, it's just going to a credit card. If you wanted to budget, I think it would be kind of smart to take out the physical cash if you're like, okay, this is not going towards like groceries and stuff like that, but this is going towards my weekly coffees or my lunches or whatever you're purchasing that week. And then if you have leftover cash, then you can allocate that towards the following week. And if you're saving up for something, this is a really good way to budget for that. Something that I've seen on TikTok is actually these little like cash pocket binders where you can put the cash in these little Ziploc bags in this binder, and eventually you can save up to your saving goal. And you can also allocate it towards like if you have kids or if you have like certain responsibilities. So I like those because it's like it's physically there instead of just like tapping your credit card all the time and just seeing that number in your bank account. So it kind of puts it into perspective. Another thing is to detox on social media. And this is kind of going off of my last couple points. There's just a lot of influence, and especially in the beauty industry, because there's so many products, there's so many brands. And this is maybe just the space because I'm in the beauty industry that I can see what the creators that I follow and what they're promoting. Obviously, there's dupes for a lot of things. Be mindful of that because you don't always have to purchase things if it's not within your means or you don't need it. One last thing that I want to share that I think is so valuable, and this is probably the biggest thing out of anything, is that when you get an increase in salary, the inflation doesn't always have to correlate with your habits. And what I mean by this is if you get a salary raise, that does not mean that your spending also increases. And I think that it's really smart. I read this book, my brother gave it to me, and it is called The Millionaire Next Door. And I read that book and I got a new perspective on saving habits. And also this book talks about how if you get a raise at work, you should not go out and buy the latest car. But at the end of the day, you're not really saving if you're adding extra expenses to your life. So just keep that in mind. Making more does not equal spending more. My thing is that I try to live within my means and I try to limit consumerism because obviously I think that within our 21st century, like it's a really big issue. I think a lot of people are now trying to be more sustainable to our environment and to their spending habits. So just kind of keep these tips in mind the next time you come across the urge of having to buy something. Just take a step back, take a second, and remember if this is a need or a want. So I hope that this helped you guys either walk away with some tips on how to remove yourself from consumerism. And if you need any tips or advice for how to make 2025 your best year yet, check out this video right here and I will explain everything you need to know. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Megan May and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.